A lot of perfectionists have a reputation for making big moves and getting things done. But the truth is, a lot of perfectionists actually struggle with indecision, and there are a lot of different reasons why. Today, I'm going to shine a light on one of the less obvious ones that might be holding you back. You're listening to the Life Edit Project podcast, where recovering perfectionists get all kinds of juicy tips to help them feel better, do better, and have better relationships. I'm your favorite life coach and podcast host, Coach Elizabeth Burrows. And today, we're talking about why it can be so hard for perfectionists to make decisions. Ready? Let's go. Good day, good people. Welcome back to episode 114 of the show. As always, I'm super glad that you found your way to my corner of the internet and the podverse. Listen, before I dive into today's episode, I want to remind you that if there is something that you want to hear me address on this show, all you have to do is ask me anything. Seriously, drop me a line and let me know what questions you have, what topics you want me to talk about, because I want to make sure that you're getting what you need from this show. There is a link in the show notes that will take you to an Ask Me Anything form, and I want to see what you got, so make it do what it do. In the meantime, this week's episode was inspired by a recent coaching conversation that I had with a client. So my client is the quintessential perfectionist. She's been a high achiever her entire life. She's got a couple of advanced degrees under her belt. She is a super high level professional in a leadership position in a very specialized, highly technical, male dominated field. And she is doing the thing, right? She's a superstar. She's also a doting and loving wife and mom. She volunteers at her kids' school. I mean, all the things, right? She is, if I had to sum her up in a single word, impressive. And yet, I've seen perfectionism impact her the way I've seen it impact a lot of other equally impressive, powerful women. It makes her look good on the outside and feel bad on the inside. And one of the ways that her perfectionism makes her feel bad is that it causes her to agonize over decisions. So there's one decision in particular that she's been struggling with for a while, struggling to actually get to a decision and make a decision. And so I've been supporting her through the process of getting there. And now it's not a critical decision and there's no deadline that's forcing her to make a choice, but she does want to just be done with it. She wants to be over it. And so it comes up every couple of weeks as we're coaching together. So now she brought up this decision in our last coaching conversation because she had some new information to consider. And so she shares with me what it is that she's learned, and she's relaying this information with such clarity and such passion. And it really sounded like the information that she learned was deal breaker type information. Like this was going to be the thing that was going to allow her to finally say yes or no, or to go one way or another. And so I called the question. I asked her, now that you know this, what are you going to do? And she backed off. She postponed her decision still. And so I kept coaching her, not forcing her to make a decision, but really to just unpack it all and figure out what was really happening, what was actually behind the indecision. And it led to this epiphany that I wanted to share with you today because I feel like it's going to set somebody free. Sometimes the thing that is stopping perfectionists from making decisions isn't a lack of information. It's an unwillingness to confront your feelings about not having made the quote unquote right choice. And let me say that again, and let me say it a little more plainly for the people in the back, for the ones who weren't listening so hard because you weren't expecting me to come in so hot. Sometimes perfectionists struggle to make decisions, not because they don't know what to choose, but because they can't bear the feeling of doubting the choice that they make. And this is so good, and this is so important. Figuring out why you're struggling with the decision is super important because you cannot solve for a problem that you have not yet identified. And a lot of perfectionists struggle with indecision, but indecision is not one thing. It's a symptom that can actually have a lot of different causes. So if you've been assuming that your indecision is caused by a lack of information, well, then you keep just seeking out information. You're out there researching and analyzing, asking your friends what they think, reading Yelp reviews and dropping threads in Facebook groups, right? But none of that actually helps because it's not addressing the actual deficiency. If you're operating from a perfectionist mindset, and that mindset is based on the belief that perfect is better than imperfect, you hear me talk about that all the time. If you're operating from a perfectionist mindset, you absolutely believe that you should be making not just good decisions, but the right decisions, because the right decisions are better than good decisions, or because the right decisions you think are going to lead to more perfect results. And if you believe that there is a right decision and that's where you should end up, then of course you feel terrible when you tell yourself that you have not made the right choice. But here's the thing with life, and here is why this is such a problem. Most of the decisions that we actually face in life don't have one right answer. There's usually a grandiose ideal option, and then there's usually a worst case scenario option, and then there's a bunch of other options in between that are some shade of okay. And there are times when the ideal option is not even something that's actually available to us. So we literally cannot choose it. And so if that's the case, what's a perfectionist to do? How are we supposed to be out here navigating decisions and choosing our way through life? Well, most perfectionists just stay stuck in a decision, like my client. They kick the can down the road in a lot of really impressive and fancy and creative and non-obvious ways, but they don't decide to do anything in particular. And that's no way to live. So I'm here to offer you an alternative. What if you don't need to make the right choice? What if asking yourself what the right choice is the thing that's actually keeping you stuck? What if a better question, a more helpful question to ask yourself is this: what good decision can I live with? If you ask yourself that question, all you need to do is just get better at making good, intentional, well-informed decisions that you feel good about, and then making space for all of the complicated feelings that come with that territory. So in this particular case, my client wasn't just trying to make the right decision. She was running away from making a decision at all because she was terrified that if she made a choice today, at some future moment, she was going to miraculously find out that there was a right choice and that she'd opted out of it and that she'd regret it. Hear me out on this. She was running away from feelings that she hadn't had yet about a future possibility that may not even exist. In fact, it is unlikely to exist. She was avoiding these hypothetical future feelings so hard that she was creating actual anxiety for herself in the present. And she's not the only one. Because if you are a perfectionist and you struggle with indecision, you have probably experienced this in some way or fashion. And I'm here to tell you it does not have to be that way. Now, I know you all are used to me offering nice, tidy frameworks and strategies, but I'm not doing this in this episode because it doesn't work like that. If you are struggling to make a decision because you can't handle feeling like you left the quote unquote right choice on the table, you get to work through that in coaching. So if you hire me as your coach, we will pop the hood on your indecision and actually figure out what's getting in your way. And I'll help you and support you so that you can learn how to make better decisions faster with more confidence, and then to be better at dealing with whatever feelings come up before, during, and after you make a decision. And now, if that's the kind of support you want, if you are ready to break free from the cycle of indecision, book a call with me. If you've been stuck on that one particular decision, you can even book a 2-hour reset session with me, and we will troubleshoot everything around that one decision, and you get to walk away with a plan of action, a decision made, or tools to make a decision, and tools to help you take action on that decision. Or if you know that you struggle with indecision more generally and you've got a bunch of different decisions that you want support with, if you sign up for a package of one-on-one coaching sessions with me, we'll work together for a period of 3 to 6 months, and we will totally flip your relationship with decisions and indecision. Either way, I'm here to help, and I'm ready to get started whenever you are. All right? So that's all for this week. It was a nice kind of quickie episode, I know, but I promise I will be back in your ears next week with another juicy episode. In the meantime, I want you to ask yourself what decisions you've been putting off, even though you know what choice you want to make. You might surprise yourself with what the answer is. All right, that's your homework. I'll talk to you next week. Peace.